Mark, you tell me when you want.
You're all set.
Okay.
You're recording already?
Okay, very good. So this workshop's going to be about working with sellers. So once you've got the listing and the conversations, that's some other training. But once you've got the listing, what do you do now? How do you continue to communicate with the seller? How do you share information to help the seller understand what's going on in the market? What exposure is their home getting? What's the feedback? Because you just can't put your sign in the yard and then start showing, and the sellers are like, well, what's going on? Don't you hate that after about 3 weeks or a month? What's going on with my listing? This is for you to tell them what's going on, because the more data you have, it helps them understand what's going on with their listing. So I'm going to go through a bunch of systems that I use and reports that I print out to share with my sellers after about 30 days. So the first thing I do, and this report is actually good for when you go on a listing presentation. So once I'm on the listing presentation, I share the market stats, the Broward market stats. And then when I go back after 30 days to have my seller conversation on the listing, I show them the most updated market stats so they can see that I'm tracking the market. So you know how to log on to your MLS, right? And then you go into the matrix. Oh, by the way, I've printed out every screen, okay? So you can just, because as adults, no, as adults, that's how we learn. You have to print out every screen, where you're gonna click, and how you're gonna do it. Because even me, I have to go back and remember, wait a minute, now where did I get that report? So I keep this at my desk too. So here we go, we're in Matrix. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this Florida Realtors where you get the stats, okay? You click on that, that's the first page. Flip to the next page. You see down here, you've got this research and statistics. You see that? You click on that. Okay, go to the next page, and you see here it says Florida market reports. Okay? And you can go right here. See that? Florida market reports. I'm on page 3 of 4. Okay? And now, when you click that, it's going to take you to my market reports. It's thinking. Probably clicking too many times. What is going to take?
Realtors.org, right?
Yeah, but
it's slowly.
Okay. You guys maybe have used this. Sometimes you can click over here. But I just click over there. So it's still thinking. And you can see I printed out what the search categories are going to be.
Well, I was thinking,
Of course.
why did you not go to market stats?
I don't know. That one has like a different view of them.
Yeah.
You can play with them. I just like this one. I mean, I can go through this. You can see here, you can go to the county section, and then I pick the month, and I click on the single family homes. And then number 3 says I select a summary. It's usually on detail. But I click summary and Broward County. Okay, here we go. So down here, I click in the county reports. You see it says county reports. I click the month, which the most recent month we have, well, this is I have the July month here. So we'll go for July. The year, single family, because I'm just gonna work on a single family home in Wilton Manors. That's what my listing is. Put the summary, and I go here and I pick Broward, and then you click view, okay? And then it's gonna download it. You see where it says download? It comes down here, you click save. Okay, then you're gonna see, flip to the next page. I'm going to click that report. How many people use this report already? Okay, excellent. It's very helpful. There's 2 pages to this report. This first one and then this second one. I don't really use the second one because honestly, people get overloaded with data. Numbers scare people. So what I do, you see how I scribbled on that page, the one in your handout? I show them in single family homes, we have like a little bit of a bump when people buy homes. Now these are closed sales, but that, you know, that's called the season. But then you see here, boom, I got a bump in December, bump in December, bump in December. I'm like, what's that about? And I say, those are the local people buying before the end of the year to get their homestead. So they see, oh yeah, that makes sense. Up in the chart here, I say this is comparing July last year to July this year. And then I talk about, wow, there's more buyers now. I circle these items here. I said, look how long it's taking them to sell and to close. So people have an understanding. It doesn't happen in 2 weeks. It takes buyers 43 days to find the property, and then it takes them 85 days, which 43 days is a subset of that, to get to the closing. Why so long? Well, that's about 42 days for a mortgage process. That's about right, 30 to 45 days for mortgage. So the numbers don't lie. Then you can see here, new pending sales. I wrote we have more buyers because we have 4% more. And we have fewer listings. Look at that. Listings are down. That's really good for sellers. So this market is stable in terms of the median sales price. I write here stable. Then the inventory. Well, right now it's going down, but we don't really know where it's going to go. So, you know, you can read these numbers and think about them and then put some scribbles on here to direct the seller to the information that you want to convey. Fewer buyers or more buyers, fewer sellers or more sellers, meaning more competition, okay? Sometimes the inventory was going up, and this time I got the arrow like that before I knew these months, that inventory is going up. That's more competition in the marketplace of product, okay? So that's how I use that one. I like to use that also for the listing presentation, okay? That's from the MLS. So the next thing we're gonna do is, yeah, sure.
For the median sales price and average sales price.
Yes.
How would you explain that to the seller? They ask the question. Adrienne, can you repeat the question?
The median, yeah, Alex is asking on the median sales price and the average sales price. What does that mean? How do you explain it? The median sales price means that there are just as many houses sold higher than that than there are sold below that. The median, it's in the middle, okay? Remember that. The average sales price means that if you took all of those properties and averaged them together, that's the number. So looking at here, the average sales price is higher than the median. That means there's a lot more expensive homes than there are lower priced homes. Does that make sense? Let me tell you, they're not going to ask you about that. They might, you know, you kind of know. Remember, median means middle. You're in the middle. Same number above as below. Average means you take the whole list and you run an average. Okay? Does that help? Okay. So now I'm going to go over, this is one of the most helpful websites, and that is the Listhub. So you go to this, the next section, you go to this website, listhub.com. You see that? Yep. And you put in, Balistreri, Jim pays for this website. I call it a syndicator. And it has all of the stats on where people are looking at the listing. So this is really important. So you log on and you start to see all of your listings. Now this is like too much stuff, okay? This is for like all of your listings. Okay, it's kind of interesting. But what you want to do is you want to go over here into the corner where it says inventory. See at the top of page 2 of 5? It's a little click, those little bars there. You click on the inventory, okay? Then it's going to come up with all of your listings and like a little description of them from your MLS. So now what you do is I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to click, this is one of my listings, and I'm going to click here, seller report. Click that, and it brings up a whole bunch of good stuff about that listing. Now, you can view all of these different report formats on the right-hand side over here. All of these report formats. And look at all these websites. We're going to talk about that. The one that I like is the one that's called List View over here under market, right there. You see that? I click on that. See that one there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one I like. Because then what you do is you do a screen print. Okay, I like to print out the reports and sit with the seller because you got to show them some love. Okay, you got to call the sellers after the showings. I just text them. You get your feedback. So we'll go through that when we get deeper into the showing time and the super reports. But this, when you sit with them and you're at the table, you want to review it with them because, again, people kind of get blinded by the data. Okay, and when you're talking to them about it, it makes sense. So look at this report. All of these viewings in the last 4 weeks, top cities that viewed the listing. This house, Ashburn, Virginia. Well, I happen to know I lived in DC. That's out toward Reston. That's a suburb of Washington, DC. So probably somebody, one person in Ashburn's been there 5 times to see that house. A couple in Fort Lauderdale, a couple in Orlando. It'll have all different cities there that are top viewers. But look over here, top websites. Zillow, that's why, you know, it's pitiful. But Zillow is 3 times higher than Realtor.com. House for Sale, Homes.com, Mashvisor, Point2 Homes. This shows all of these websites that are getting the hits where people are actually clicking on the listing. Then look down here, your listing was also sent to all of these websites. This shows your seller that we're broadcasting it out to a broad audience, okay? So that's what I use. I'll mark this up. You know, you can see on my handout there, page 505, you do a screen print here. We're on page 505 of Listhub. Keep going, keep going. Yeah, keep going. There you are. Okay? It shows the last 4 weeks. It shows, you know, what websites are getting exposure. It shows it how it was broadcast to others, and it shows you the top cities. Again, you can scribble on this page and present it to them. Yes?
How does it get distributed to all of these websites? Is that something you're doing?
No, that's what, no, that's,
The MLS,
It's automatic.
right, but Balustreri pays for this Listhub syndication. It's called
Okay,
syndication.
so that's, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how it happens. Marketing does something, or we've signed up for something, but it's great because you can show that it's getting smattered everywhere. Okay. So that's the Listhub. I think this is like one of the most important reports to show the exposure of the listing to the public. Okay. Then I say, okay, that's great. I've got 2 audiences for your listing. I've got the public, the general public, and I've got the other agents. Okay, now we're going to go to the MLS, back to the MLS. Click that off here. Back to my MLS, and I'm going to go into my matrix. Okay, now we're on page 1 of 2. You know your matrix in here. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but you got this little, I mean, you've seen matrix, obviously. But you got this little thing here called My Hit Counter. See that? If you click on that, it shows my 7 listings and all the data. Now, what is the My Hit Counter? The My Hit Counter is, I call it, and I say to the seller, the back-end view. I said, most agents don't even know how to get to this. It's the back-end view of all the times someone has emailed out the listing, or a buyer has received the listing in their email portal and your listing has been viewed. So this is the MLS data. So what you do then is you basically, number 1, go to the next page. It says 2 of 2. Okay. So the first thing you do is you click on the listing that you want to view. Okay, so I'm going to view this one, right? And then you select print, okay? And you want to make sure that you print it in landscape. Okay? And you print it out, okay? And it gives you that one line. So you probably can't see, it's too small here. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay, you can see that a little bit bigger. But on this, if you hover over, like this first thing, if you hover over that, it tells you, what does that say? The number of portals your listing has reached, comma, by direct or auto email. So guess what? This is exactly the report that I do for the seller. I without the other ones on there. I just print this, do a print, and then I write this out. The number of listings your email has reached by direct or others. The next one says client views. The total number of full displays views by consumers in their portal. And you're like, what's a portal? I'm like, that's when the system sends an email to the buyer that matches their criteria, okay? The agents or the general public can go on the MLS and they can set up a search for themselves. 3-2 pool homes in Wilton Manors, or whatever their home is that I'm talking about, you know, 2-2 condos and blah, blah, blah. And then they get alerts when those things come up. So this is the number of clients that your listing was reached by direct email when the agent sent it to them, or by the auto email when they set up a search. This next one is the total number of times they clicked on it in their portal. So this guy had 272 times it was sent out, and 290 times they actually viewed it. Well, how come it's higher? Well, they went back and saw it twice, okay? Or, hey, honey, look at this, and they pulled it up again, okay? So it's not unusual for that number to be higher, okay? Or it could be lower, which means they didn't even look at it, okay? Then this one over here, I don't, favorites, clients marked it as favorites. That means you might, if you've had 5 showings, sometimes those are the 5. You don't really know for sure. Client possibilities. Auto emails. This says the total number of auto email searches presently matching this listing. So you've got 303 searches are set up by all other agents in the MLS that also match your listing. So this is a lot of traffic, and this house is still active. What's happening? The agent is rejecting the house because of price or condition, but we'll see feedback later. So we'll say this is the MLS backend data where you're getting a lot of exposure here, okay? So that's exactly how I write it. I hover the cursor over that, and I write those exact words, and I bring it down so they can read it, and I talk about it. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Does everybody understand where this data is coming from? The back end data from the MLS, my hit counter, okay? Okay, now if you can see, I started at the top with the market data, and then I come to the MLS, which is the exposure to all the MLS data agents. Okay, now I'm gonna go back into the MLS, and I'm gonna go to showing time. So you can see digging down into the more granular level. Now let's see who's showing the house and what did they have to say. So you come down here on your external links, you see this over here, showing time. It's page 1 of 7, okay? Go to that, and you click over here, showing time. Now when you click on showing time, you've got this on the left. I want to go to reports. See that? Page 2 of 7. Click on reports. Go to the next page. 3 of 7. It shows you different types of reports. What do you want to look at? I want to look at my listing activity, right? So you click on listing activity report. Is this helpful? Click by click by click? Otherwise you get lost in a spaghetti soup because there's so much.
Very clear.
Yeah, that way you can just pull this package out and go on it. Okay, now this shows me all of my listings, okay? And what's going on with all my showing times. So I'm gonna pick, where's that one? This one, which is the same one that we've been looking at. The data from the MLS, the data from here. Okay, this is the listing. All right, now look at this report. Okay, go to the next page, 5 of 7. And on the left side of the screen here, you can email this report or print it. Print a report. What do you think I like to do? Print it, okay? So you get this report, and you can see here, feedback responses. Didn't show, it was occupied, and you declined the showing. Yeah, that's true, because this is a vacation rental. That's fine. I can show that to the seller, because it's a vacation rental that's been rented, so, you know, but then it tells me I can also call this guy back and reschedule. Hello there, thanks so much for letting me in. Buyer loved the outdoor, but feel the home needs a little too much sprucing up for the price. Don't think it's for them. Or reach out if anything changes. Thank you so much. Home showed beautifully, but the outdoor space did not speak to blah, 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 taking them out to see other properties. He's considering but feels it's way overpriced. Pool and screen porch are best parts. Everything else pretty much needs redo, including all the landscaping in the front and back. Super nice seller's agent. You know, I mean, like, you know, these guys are brutal. Okay, and that's okay. Bingo, Ruthie, that helps me. These guys, you know, they're brutal, which is fun. Super nice seller's agent. Woohoo, that's me. Interested in more information regarding home, agent is working on, shows well with great landscaping, would trim back the landscaping around the pool to increase, did not show. Okay, so you can see down here all the agents it showed. Now, not all the agents gave feedback. Okay, I hope you know how to set up your showing time to ask for feedback. Okay, it's easy to do that. Okay, so here's all the agents that showed, and sometimes they write you a little note when they request the showing. It starts from the bottom up. Okay, so we started on active. My client changed his work schedule. We'd like to schedule to see the property tomorrow. It shows you all the agents that have shown it with their phone number. Pre-approved buyers from New York City. Working with a New York buyer, ready to buy, please confirm. Rebooked per your direction, and then a price change. So what is this? What happens here? When I get that price change, I call all of those people again and say, hey, remember that house you showed with the pool vacation rental? We just dropped the price, $15,000. You want to set up a showing? What's going on? Did they buy something yet? So, you know, again, you tell the seller that. You make that part of your process. Once you get a price reduction, go back in to your showing time and find all the agents that showed it and just print it out and start calling them. Call them, okay? So this is very helpful. It shows all of your physical showings and their feedback, okay? Now, I like that one. I print it out, as you know, and I do that. Now, the last report we're going to talk about is the Supra. Like, why do we have to talk about the Supra? We just did all the showings. But it's not the same because Supra is on the door. These are showing requests. So the Supra on the door might have had more people showing. So let's go to that one. Okay, Supra. Okay, so now you got your Supra right there, 1 of 7. Okay. You click here for your login. And make sure you know your details. You can just write them on this page. Everybody know where we are? Okay. Now you're gonna come to the next page, which is this big page, hold on, that has all of your, this is all of the showings that have happened just chronologically, willy-nilly, every property you have. So it's not that helpful unless you're looking for like the last showing that happened. you want to go here to reports. Okay, so click on the reports. Okay, and then you want to go here to create a showing report. Okay, so this is the showings that have been at your properties. All right, now when you get to this page, you've got to have some information with you about your listing. For example, you have to know, I don't want all of my listings. No, I want a specific listing, and if I like to put in the MLS number. If you know the key, that's fine, but if you use the key, what if you had it on a house 3 months ago? So I always use the MLS number. I'm going to put in one of my listings here. Okay, and then you have to know what was the MLS start date. Okay, so this one I just put on the market before the storm, and it populates it through today. You want to include the agent contact report, and you want to include the feedback if there is any on there. And then you're going to click here, create the report. Now this gives a little report that you can email the report, or you can print the report. Okay, you know I'm going to print it, all right? Because what I like to do on here is I like to mark on the report again. So for example, it went active and Melanie jumped in there and started showing it. Melanie from our other office. She showed it, and it came at 4:30, and then she came back with her husband 2 hours later and showed it again. So I would maybe mark here, agent showing for her and her husband. Then Barry Dunn showed it. Okay, then I went in there and I showed it to a buyer who called me from the internet. So I would write that down there, show to buyer from internet. Okay, and then I went in again and I checked on it for the hurricane. Okay, this is a recent listing, so it doesn't have many activities. But if you did an open house, it would show that you entered. I'd write there open house. Okay, so you might have like a whole page or page and a half of people that have gone in and showed it. That's great. And you want to, and when your name's on there too, you want to say showed it to the buyer, or opened up for a Miami agent. I've had to write that sometimes, you know, opened up for another agent, didn't have Supra. And then that shows you all the activity in and out of the house. And that shows that you are watching the security of the home, because you're controlling who's coming in, and you know exactly. And when I go on my listing presentation, I talk about the Supra, the security of the Supra, and how I get an email alert every time somebody goes into the Supra. I talk about showing time. I say when I set up showing time, they have to click on when they're going to show it. Okay, John's going to show it Thursday at 2 p.m. And guess what? On my phone, and I'll show them, oh, here, John went in at 2:05. Yep, he's on time. And then I say I set up my Supra to send me an email alert and to send the buyer's agent an email request for feedback. Okay, so that's, nobody gave me feedback here, else you'd see it over here. Okay, so those are the programs, the systems that I use that start from the market report down to the MLS showings, down to the physical showings of the property. I should say MLS showings, MLS searches, down to the physical showing of the property, down to the front door. Okay, and then you have that conversation. You should also bring any new comps that have closed, if that's helpful to you in terms of negotiating for a price change, so they can see that you've had a broad amount of exposure internet-wise and physical, and yet we haven't received an offer yet. Okay.
Adrienne, on a listing presentation, how do you use it?
I don't print out these reports on the listing presentation, but I do take a shackle with me, and I show them the app on my phone, the Supra app, and I talk about that. Most of my sellers, they will permit me to use the Supra, even if they live there, and I say, because you live here, we need to request appointments the day before. So we'll always have day before notice, and when I put in the showing time instructions, I put the 12 hours. Because if you put 24 hours, it blocks it out from like, somebody at 5 o'clock is making their appointments for 12 the next day, and they can't make it until 5 p.m. the next day. Well, that doesn't really work for the way people work, and buyers and agents set up appointments. So I say 12 hours, okay? And then I say what we'll do is I'll have that in there. They have to make day before appointment. Then they'll send me an email requesting the appointment. I immediately text you. Let's confirm what's your best number. Do you want me to text your partner as well? Put them in a text string. I'll say, okay, I'll be texting you. We have a showing request for Friday, 4 p.m. Please confirm. Okay. Then they say, yep, that's good. And I said, okay, now you need to leave about 15 minutes before you leave the home, and they'll come, and I'll see that they've entered, and then wait about 15, 20 minutes, come back home, and you're good to go. If you see their cars there, take another loop, okay? And then 1 hour later, my system is set up for them to receive a feedback request. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Mr. Seller, 98% of the agents do not answer the question. They boom, delete, okay? So what I do is I text them about 3 hours after the showing. I say, hey, how was that home on the water in Wilton Manors? What'd you think? Because they'll probably answer a quick little text message. And they'll say, oh yeah, really pretty outside, but bathrooms needed too much work. And then what I do is I copy that and I send it to my seller. Feedback from the showing today, okay? The other thing I do with the showing agents, if I have a home that's owner occupied, and even if I'm gonna show it, is I text that agent 30 minutes ahead. I said, hey, just confirming we're on for our 4 o'clock showing at blah, 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 blah. And they're like, yep, we'll be there. Perfect. Then they know that we're on the same timeline. It's like, oh no, my buyer's still at lunch, or my buyer's driving up from Miami. It's gonna be closer to 5 o'clock. Then I have to text the seller to let them know. So when they confirm with me, yep, we'll be there in 30 minutes, then I text my seller, buyer's agent confirmed they're coming in 30 minutes. That way, you're communicating. The sellers want to know that you're thinking about them, that you're thinking about their house, that you're thinking about their listing. So the more communication you have, even on these simple things, the better. Simple things, just, oh, we got a showing tomorrow, I'll be there, or 4 p.m., please confirm, and then the little follow-up, just so, you have this communication. Then it's not awkward when you want to communicate about something more serious, like a price reduction, okay?
That's the key.
That's what?
That's the key. That's price reduction.
Yeah,
You're always working.
yes, yes. Other questions? Yes, Ruthie?
Do you use the reverse prospecting for anything?
I have used reverse prospecting. I had 2 homes in Wilton Manors. The hardest home to sell, I think, is the 3-2 home with no pool and a weird yard, where the buyer walks into the house and they can't go and see like a giant backyard. Oh my God, it's screaming for a pool. One had like a weird yard over here, and the other one was super tight. So I worked with a local pool contractor in Wilton Manors, and he did 3D renderings. I provided the survey. He came out and he did a 3D rendering of what the pool would be with a price. I took those color photos and I put them in the house. Like when you walk out the slider doors, I put a big 8.5 by 11 right there, and I put them on the counter. Both homes, one home was empty, one home had a family living there. And the home that had the family, actually, the new buyers end up using that guy for the pool, which was fantastic. Very positive experience. So then I had these beautiful pool renderings, and the homes have been on the market like, I don't know, a couple of months. So I took the PDF of the pool rendering, and one whole afternoon I went through reverse prospecting, and I emailed every agent, not just the ones that showed it. I started with the ones that showed it. The pool rendering, the PDF. And I didn't do like just a blanket email. I actually emailed each one, which took forever, but I had a generic email, and I would put, hey, Alex, I just got this pool rendering, and check this out. And I got a response back, oh my God, that's so helpful, thank you. So it really, I have used it, but it's to do it the right way, I think, is not just to blast it out, but to actually go one email address at a time and make a little personal note with something of importance, you know? Yes, Vanessa.
So that company that gave you the full rendering, how much they charge?
They didn't charge me anything.
Oh, cool.
They got the
Nancy,
business
we
with
need
it.
to do that.
What's that?
Nancy, we need to do that.
Yes, you do.
Gotcha.
That house I rented.
Give me the name.
Yes, or, yeah, sure.